once again, real people, real life.
Hello.
Still in Wichita, Kansas, America.
Still in Wichita, Kansas, but a little bit different studio today.
A little bit different. We're really going to start switching things up.
Good.
Okay, we have a couple other FCC regulated network television folks, you know, that are looking at picking up the show.
Great.
Versus being solely on a digital antenna show. And as we sat here and we're discussing our options, you know, I think the majority of us, and yes, Fawcett and Joey couldn't make it, but I think the majority of us feel like, let's just go rogue. You know?
I agree. Rogue, yeah.
And I'm sorry, FCC, but yeah, I'm not going to miss the hard breaks, you know.
Not at all.
Well, there's so much that we can do. We can go on locations, you know, and all these other things. So I'm really looking forward to going rogue.
And now we can really speak our fucking mind.
Absolutely. Nothing to hold us back now, baby.
Nothing to hold anybody back now. And you know, I could count on you for that one.
We don't have a BDIH manager breathing down our necks. None of that.
None of that.
Not that I'm talking about anybody in particular. No names.
No names.
We don't have to be politically correct.
Not at all.
I know. And I think some of the guests, you know, that have been along with us now for the last 28 shows that we did do, kind of felt like, you know, they probably would like to have said more.
I think so. A couple
times. FCC chokes everybody back. You're so worried somebody's going to be offended or bent out of shape that you just can't get in there and discuss an issue.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
We've had some thorny issues that really probably deserve to be dealt with.
I still haven't let into Dawn over GMOs.
I know, you guys haven't gone there yet, but...
I don't know. You know, I'm thinking about kind of doing a crossbreed this year.
Yeah.
I'll get regular seeds and stuff, but I'm going to get Roundup and pour over the top of it.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
I've got to.
No, I don't
Does
think
Roundup
so.
have a mayonnaise?
They might.
Oh, God.
I'm going to have to look for it. I know they have a peanut butter. I know they've got a peanut butter, and I think they'll like it. It's a little tangy.
Oh, Lord.
Joe likes his Roundup straight up, I guess. Not me, but...
I'm not worried about it.
I know.
I mean, we got so many issues going on in the world right
now. That's not the biggest one, is it?
You know, it amazes me.
I was just looking at Drudge Report.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Old Mr. Obama's getting all beat up on his immigration thing. I don't think it's going to go anywhere but the way it is. But who knows? Maybe some judge in Texas actually stopped him dead. Who knows?
That guy looks so cool wearing a plane crash.
Oh, my gosh. Well, we know how you feel. Yeah.
Armani suit by Boeing. It would just fit him perfectly.
Oh,
my God. Yeah.
He's one of our favorite people here.
I know, right? Well, we've got all these national, you know, and international issues going on. A lot of times we really haven't dove into some of that, you know, and we tried to keep everything local, but by going rogue, we're going to go aside from just local issues.
There is good things happening in the world.
Yes. Really? Okay. Well, and like
the Middle East is finally upset with ISIS.
Yeah.
Egypt opened fire and started launching air raids against ISIS. Now, to see those people that have lived in this for 8,000 years now, putting up with everything that came down the pipe, finally getting stirred to the point of distraction when this, you know, hey, enough's enough.
Right.
They're going after them. That's a good thing. Now, to contrast that, of course, our brilliant Obama administration came out with all of their little talking heads and said, well, their problem is really jobs. We have to get all the terrorist jobs.
Well, they've got jobs. There's a big demand for executioners. A lot of demand for that around the world. Sword sharpeners. A lot of.
You don't win a war by being friendly with your enemy.
Right.
You win a war by breaking the people's desire to fight. We hit Japan so hard we changed their religion.
Right.
We carpet bombed Germany back to the Stone Age, and they said, we'll do whatever you want, just quit dropping them bombs. That's how you win a war. Now, since then, we have forgotten that because now, well, we don't really want to upset you and everything. We came here just to kill as few of you as possible. That's not how you win a war.
Right.
And now we're on a war against ideology.
Yeah.
So we literally need to bomb them out of the Stone Age.
Right.
And we need to go over that. We don't need to quit worrying about collateral damage. When we engaged in Afghanistan and Iraq, the first 3 weeks of both of those campaigns were flawless.
Right.
They were flawless because we told the villages, if you're harboring a bad guy, we're going to flatten your whole village.
Right.
So the little village was pushing all the bad guys out.
Yeah.
And we swept through there like the plague. And then Rumsfeld comes in and says, well, now we got to win the hearts and minds. No, keep up the pressure until the problem is gone.
I think we need to remind everybody though that you served in the military.
I was in the Marine Corps.
Right. So you got a kind of
I've got a different perspective.
correct.
I say we nuke them till they glow and shoot them in the dark.
Alrighty then, and I'm over here going,
Yeah.
peace, love, and giggles. You know, and free cannabis for everybody.
Absolutely.
I know, that's a good one. So it is kind of interesting when we all get together, you know.
Right.
You've been in, you also had military service.
I did. I was a Vietnam veteran. I was only in the Army. I didn't quite make it up to the Marine Corps, but.
That's what Army means. Ain't ready for the Marines yet.
Oh.
Oh,
wow.
Joe.
Oh well, I saw enough of
Yeah.
enough of combat to
Yeah.
detest it for the rest of my life. I'll fight against it. I
Right.
just can't believe that we're actually talking about putting American boys and girls back in combat.
I can agree with that right up until the first troop dies.
Putting them over there? Oh yeah.
If you're gonna make all the threats, we're gonna send in the troops. We can withdraw right up until the first troop dies. This war cannot be withdrawn from until it's
How many
until it's
wars are
over.
we in? I mean, honestly, how many wars are we in right now?
A
One.
lot of
Huh?
One.
Which one is that?
We've got a war against terrorism. We've got the exact same war that we entered into after 9/11. It has not ended. Obama has tried to break it up and say, well, we've got an Afghan war, we've got an Iraqi war,
Right,
he pulled us out of this, that, and he tries to separate it. It's all part of the same deal. The war we're in now has no borders. The war we're in now has no country. The war we have now is against an ideology. It's not a war we have fought before. And you can't say, well, we're just going to withdraw from it because, like he was talking about, we don't want war, but as soon as that first troop dies in combat, all bets are off. We have to stay in this because he didn't die for nothing.
Right.
And we have to win the war. And again, you don't win the war by being friendly with them. You win the
True.
war by knocking them off the damn planet.
Right.
Well, I think that's a good job for the people who live there. And not
Well,
so
and
much-
they're finally getting, and that's
Well,
they're
that's why I think
finally
it's-
getting
yeah.
to the point where we've had enough of
Yeah.
this, and that's what we need. We need
Right.
them to engage and get going with their own crap.
I just don't see Americans. I mean, we don't even care enough about our own freaking border along Texas,
Well,
California.
I agree with
Mexico.
that. It's kind of stupid that we're fighting
Yeah.
everybody else's battle playing world police, and we
Yeah.
can't secure our own border. That's kind of
Absolutely. They
silly.
should just bring them all home, just like Ron Paul used to advocate.
And then they talk about, oh well, it's this big tragedy. We got 60,000 children. I got news for you, folks. That's an invasion. That's not
Right.
a problem.
Right.
And it needs to be treated like an invasion.
Right.
I had a simple solution, and George Bush didn't like it either because he didn't think he could sell it. We could close down a lot of the military bases that they were wanting to close, but we take all that BLM land that runs along the entire southern border,
Right.
we turn that into our military base.
Oh,
now,
hey.
now when they
Good
hop in the
luck.
fence, now they're not just
Yeah.
crossing into
Live
our
target,
border.
live targets.
They've
Right.
just invaded a military establishment. They're fair game. I'll be willing to bet we'd stop a lot of illegal immigration. But that makes me a racist asshole and all that other good stuff to whoever you talk to. But the racism's got nothing to do with it. This is a battle of governments.
It needs to be supported.
Well,
And the same thing on the northern border.
well, yeah.
Oh, those pesky Canadians, I'm tired of them guys.
Snowbacks come down here and tell us how we're supposed to live.
Oh, they do it in Florida every year, oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So,
They're terrorists, they are.
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
they're horrible people.
so in addition to,
I love you, Canada. Just kidding. Just kidding.
we love our Canada friends, really.
Absolutely love you.
I have friends over there, so let's be nice. So in addition to, you say there's one war, and for the most part, yeah, it's a war on terrorism, okay? But we've also got this, it seems like that every time I turn around, they're declaring a war on something. We're declaring a war against drugs, okay? Really? Okay, we're declaring a war against obesity, okay? And if you don't follow our rules...
And that's stupid.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I asked, how many wars are we in right now? And the answer to most would be one war spread out all over the place.
I don't consider the war on drugs, the war on obesity, a war.
But that's the terminology that they use.
That is a political sales pitch.
Correct, correct.
And that's not the same as a war.
I agree. But
He's been to war. Telling somebody not to eat a hamburger is not the same as war.
right.
It's crap.
Yeah.
The idea that any part of our government is going to tell you how you have to behave goes against what the Constitution was written for.
Right.
This is where he and I differ on GMOs.
Right.
'Cause he wants a law that says it's got to be labeled.
Just
I don't
label.
think we need more laws.
Well, so you're against all labeling laws, then I guess.
Yes, I am.
Nothing with alcohol, nothing with cigarettes.
I don't give a
See,
rat's ass
labels,
what it
Joe,
is. As
the
soon as
thing
there's a
about-
law that says you have to behave this way,
But
your rights now are superseding mine.
I got it, but you know, we're not inventing the wheel. We're saying everything's got labels now. We're simply, just add this.
How many labels have you bought?
I check the labels on the food I buy.
Okay, but how many labels have you bought? Have you bought labels to put on your product?
Don't have a product to
Yes,
label
I have.
on?
Okay,
Yes.
well, until you do that, and you know what kind of cost is incurred in changing and labeling and everything that goes into
Well,
production of that,
we're not saying backwards. We're saying going forward, the new labels that you print up will list all these ingredients. They do it every
For
time
what?
they reduce the
that
size.
still costs money.
Joe, they reduce the size of inside the can,
It still costs money.
and they still print the labels.
Why should your like or dislike cost me money?
Well, you're already paying for it. We're not
Well,
doing anything
no,
new.
I'm not, because
I'm
I
just
only buy
saying-
what I want. If you don't want to buy something, then don't buy it.
I love it.
I think consumers have a right to know, that's all.
I think consumers have the responsibility to know what they're buying, and it
Well,
shouldn't be
it's-
my problem for them to know what
That's
they're
why
buying.
we like to put it on the label, so it's real simple.
It shouldn't
If
be
there
my
were no
problem.
labels and we're saying we want brand new regulation, let's put labels, I'd say, hey, that's a little radical, but we've already got labels. We've already fought the bottle, Joe. Joe, that bottle was fought some time ago.
And it
Now
was
we have
stupid
one-
then. Why are we
It
gonna
probably
repeat
is,
it?
but you're not talking about
Well,
a
you know,
brand.
here, let's
Let's
just,
talk about something different.
yeah, okay, well,
We're not
yeah.
gonna agree over here.
I know,
I don't
and
think.
GMO is never going to be something you two will agree on. So
Uh-huh.
you know, that being what it is, but I thought this was well, interesting to say the least.
Okay.
Because I got wind of this, I believe it was last April
Mhm.
when I was in Topeka for one of many different things, and even back then they were wanting to change the laws for adult entertainment facilities in the state of
Oh.
Kansas,
Mhm.
and that has now been brought back up again. And so, you know, here
Well, they
we
want
are.
to change it too.
No, absolutely
Uh-huh.
no nudity. You know, and I don't care. There again, this goes back to I don't care. Okay? But here we have a state, you know, that's coming in that wants to regulate, you know, existing businesses on how they can
That's
and cannot
wrong.
operate.
Mhm.
All
They're
right?
doing it with liquor licenses too, I don't know. aren't they?
And right,
Really
so we've
strict
got
on it.
so you've got this whole thing going on, you know, against, and it included the adult stores, you know, and I noticed one of the comments was, well then basically anybody that sells a condom, you know, should fall under this category, and you know that was a good question, you know. So what I see is, you know, I can see both sides of the argument here, you know. I do want to be an informed consumer, and I will do my research as best I possibly can, you know. But what I'm seeing is at different levels of government, the more it's just that thumb, you know, or
That's
that,
right.
you
And
know,
that's why I
shucking
fight
the
all of these
bejesus out of
things.
us.
I fight all of these things
Mhm.
because it's retarded that our government is telling us how to live in a free country.
Oh,
Why is it
sure.
in a free country you can't buy your cannabis and use it?
True.
Mhm.
True.
Now we're going to turn around and say that on the one hand, but on the other hand, we're going to say, but there ought to be a law that requires this.
Right.
No, be consistent. If we're going to say that it's ridiculous that the government's picking winners, and it's ridiculous that the government's telling you how you have to run your business, then it ought to be ridiculous that the government's picking winners and telling you how to run your business. You can't have it both ways.
And that's what we have, but that's what we have now.
Right.
Okay.
And the government should not be engaged in the business of telling you what you. If you don't like pornography, if you don't like strip clubs,
Yeah.
Don't go.
don't buy the stuff and don't go in one.
I know. I
That's
know.
what I said about the smoking ban. If you don't want to come into my cigar lounge, it's a simple solution.
Right.
Don't come into my cigar lounge.
Right, right. Right.
Nobody's out there.
With all the
holding a
cool
gun to
people
you.
of Wichita hanging out there, come on.
I know, I live your cigar lounge. And the cool thing about going rogue too, yay,
Yeah.
is that we're not set in a studio atmosphere, so you never know where
We're
we're
gonna do
going to be doing the
location
show
shooting,
from.
aren't we?
Yeah, we're going
I
to go
heard
on
that we were going,
locations.
since we're going rogue, that we're gonna go up to Alaska to see if we can see Russia.
Oh, is that what we're going to do? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sarah,
I've
I wonder if we can make a call to Sarah
I've
and
seen-
go, hey,
yeah.
Sarah, I understand you can see Russia
I've seen
from your
Russia
front
from
porch. Can we
Alaska.
come and hang out with you? Do what?
I've seen Russia from Alaska.
Oh, okay. Well,
Geographically, it is possible.
Little
As far as Alaska goes.
it is possible.
as far
I
as
don't know.
Russia
Little
goes.
diamond, you can see it across the water.
I don't know if it's possible from her front porch, but I haven't.
I don't think
been
she ever
there.
said that.
Well, I don't know.
That was
but
Tina
anyway,
Fey said that.
I don't know.
Yeah, Tina Fey said that. Yeah.
But
Sarah
I-
gets a bad rap on a lot of stuff.
She does. She does. She just got in trouble the other day for announcing that she has used cannabis.
Yeah.
And
It was
I'm
legal
like,
in Alaska.
You're hard
I-
pressed to find somebody besides myself who hasn't.
yeah, I know.
Oh, not me. Well, not today.
I just,
Well, not in the last hour.
okay, all right, there you go. But I think it just seems like, you know, whether it's, you know, internationally, nationally, and locally, you know, state and regional, man, it's just this constantly, you know. I mean,
It's control freaks.
there's a bunch of control
Absolutely.
freaks out there. That's all I can
this
say.
is. That's all any of this
And
is.
government panders to control freaks.
And then we got people that want to be controlled. They move into neighborhoods that have covenants, and they sign a little paper that signs away their rights to their own property. Their property has to have this kind of grass, has to be painted
type
this
of
color,
roof,
has to
this
have this
type
type
of
of roof, and all this other stuff, so somebody else can feel better about their house.
Right.
Yeah.
I will never, mark my words, I will never live in a neighborhood that has covenants, because when I own the property and I pay the taxes on the property, I ought to be able to go out and piss in the middle of it if I want to, and
That's
it shouldn't be
your
your
business.
business.
That
I'm so
explains-
glad
that
we're
explains-
going rogue.
That explains those yellow stains.
Yeah,
yellow
you thought it
dead
was
grass.
the dogs, right?
I thought
Sorry.
that's what, yeah.
Well, you know, and then, but then that
Why
got
not?
down to it too. I mean, you know, with every rule and regulation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just choking, you know, small businesses
Yeah.
to death, you know, and
And then they wonder why there's no jobs.
I know. I
Well,
know.
how many jobs have we lost in the strip club business? Thousands, right?
Well,
if
if
they
they,
don't
you know,
change it
you
or not?
have, honestly, you have over the years, and, you know, I can remember probably 15 years ago, you know, there was a media, local radio, TV, all of us were called to a meeting in Old Town. Old Town was pretty new at the time. And they were feuding and fighting, you know, on whether or not they wanted to allow adult entertainment facilities to advertise on radio or TV. And as it stands now, you know, there are certain radio stations that will not accept casinos. They will not accept alcohol. Okay.
And
They
that's a
will not-
business decision I would support.
Yeah,
But
that's
if there's
up
a
to them.
regulation, I wouldn't.
Exactly. So there was this big meeting, you know, and you know, I'm one of these. Hey, if you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, don't go. You know. But I also understand that if your 6-year-old kid is sitting at home watching cartoons, you know, and yay, you know, hitting with a brother and hitting it with the
Yeah.
sister, and yay, loving my cartoon action, and you know, all of a sudden you got an ad, and here's some, you know, stripper like la 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 la, right? It's a little intrusive. So
Betty's Beach Club or whatever.
whatever, you know. So I mean, I can understand that, you know, and that goes back to a station making a decision that from these hours to these hours, based
And
on
that's where it
content,
needs to lie, with
and
the
that's
station.
and that's
There
what
should
we
be regulation.
and that's how it ended up.
Why should the government be able to limit your freedom of speech because of the business you're in?
That's my other issue right now is freedom of speech. Okay, when we made a decision to start BaconRock.com, worldwide radio, one of the biggest things to me was freedom of speech. I fight that every day, you know, in mainstream media. I fight it in whether it be radio, whether it be TV, whether it be print, you know. And there again, we're limiting, you know, people on feeling like it's okay to use, you know, their freedom of speech. You know,
But
and
it's
that
not.
concerns me.
We're limited across the board. There's no freedom of speech in this country like there once was.
Uh,
Think about just the simple regulation of my business.
Right.
I have to stop selling my product at 2 o'clock.
Right.
Why?
Mhm.
Is there some scientific reason that alcohol metabolizes differently after 2 a.m.?
It's like those gremlins in the movie, yeah.
There's something
Right.
that happens at 2. 2
Yeah.
is this magical number when alcohol turns into the boogeyman. Why?
Yeah.
There's no prayer. You know, when we got places that like Vegas where you can drink 24 hours, they do not have rampant alcoholism
Right.
any more so than any other place in the country. So their whole argument really is falling on deaf ears. What it really boils down to again becomes a control. Now the police know when to set up all their little DUI roadblocks
Right.
because it becomes a revenue generator. They know everybody's being shoved out of the bar at 2 o'clock.
I would agree with that. I
And that's
really
exactly
would.
all it boils down to.
Right. But it amazes me because here we are in a budget crunch in Kansas, big time.
Well, you
Okay.
want to make as much revenue as possible.
Wouldn't you want to? I mean, stop, you know, strangling small business owners. You know, stop strangling. I don't care if it's a business you don't want to support. Don't go.
Right.
I-
The free market would work.
Yeah, you know, and
If
if
people
we're
leave the free
supposed to-
market alone, the free market will take care of itself.
Right. But here we are with more rules and more regulations, day in, day out, and that is going to kill jobs. It is killing jobs, you know, and how are we going to pay our bills? We're losing jobs, and we're being strangled